Hello and welcome to the Juggling podcast. My name's Luke Burridge, and joining me today is Juliana.
Hello, everyone.
And this is the Juggling podcast, Patreon exclusive, which turns out is not exclusive. I just publish it for everyone to download and listen to. Sometimes watch on YouTube, depending what the topic is. It's been a while since the last podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And that wasn't, I was going to say it wasn't my fault, but we were busy. You went to the EJC, and after the EJC, we're like, let's talk about the EJC in a podcast. But I realized that I'd put out like 6 videos or something.
So many videos.
Yeah, so many videos. And then I kind of considered the talk that I did, like the live stream that I did about the gala show at the EJC, which was the worst EJC gala show I've seen since about 2019 or whatever. I kind of considered that to be kind of what we would have talked about in the podcast anyway.
Everything was said.
And so that was an interesting little experiment to do. It wasn't a live stream. It was a one-take recorded video where I watch stuff and react to it and talk about stuff. So I say it wasn't one take. I started talking about it and I was like, oh no, this is actually now a 45-minute video and I need to get it to 20 minutes or whatever it ended up being.
So it was edited.
No, it wasn't edited. Remember, I took 2 attempts at it. You were sitting on the couch.
Yes,
you remember? I did.
Yeah.
I talked about it. I started, and then I got to like 45 minutes, and I was still like 3 acts from the end, and I stopped, and I came through to you. I was like, I'm moaning too much. This has to be like not about just me moaning about the stuff.
Because my suggestion was that you actually take your own footage and create a new gala show to your liking.
Yes, I could have done that, and that's kind of what it was about. Either way, so that was so. Hopefully, people enjoyed the coverage that we did from the EJC. So from the last episode 60, which is in July. So this is one reason we did. The reason I didn't do a podcast in August is what I'm trying to say. Is that so? Why I juggled. Was that Cathedral Rings?
You've put out a lot of videos.
Yeah, my ring juggling act in 2024, which has now changed. Yeah, so then I did EJC Sunday, exploring the traders area, the open stage. That was a bonus video that I put out kind of in a way with Masahiro Takahashi, Volley Club, the juggling games, weird juggling props and projects, which was one of my favorite videos because I just went around and talked to the people with interesting props and stuff, which was good. A fight night video, and then the EJC Gala show video. I paid €15 for a ticket to the worst organized show I've ever seen since at least 2019. You get to hear all the obvious ways it could have been better. And oh my goodness, talking about like getting feedback from other people, like again, friends of mine who were in the show, I got lots of really good responses for that video. Yeah. And a few like, hey, wait a second, they're doing the best they can. And I'm like, it's not good enough. Again, it just comes down to the point is if you're organizing the biggest show at the biggest juggling convention in the world every year. Yeah. It's not good enough just to do the best you can.
And you're charging extra money.
Yeah, 15, so how many people? What is it? Maybe I'm just repeating stuff that I said in the show.
We should move on from it.
Okay. Either way, so then I put out some other bits and pieces, which were like these test videos that I did where I played GeoGuessr and got as close as possible to places that I've juggled. Yeah. Turns out nobody cares about that. I put out those videos, and only 2 of them. I actually made 4 of those videos. I only released 2 of them on YouTube because I got such a bad response. I'm like, oh, this is just going to bring down my YouTube algorithm. My posting.
This is just for your personal enjoyment.
Well, it wasn't just for my personal enjoyment. I was actually testing the idea of like how easy it is to set my phone up as a webcam and then do this recording. So I was actually really pleased I did them because by doing those, I actually practiced that thing that I did with the EJC Gala show where I could just play clips and respond, react to it. Yes. So it was a good thing. I think I only even posted one of those on Patreon. The other one is just on YouTube that I did. Yeah. So then what happened in September? We were really planning to do a juggling podcast in September, but I was leaving in mid-September. So I was like, well, I'm going to go away for a month from middle of September to middle of October. So we'll do a juggling podcast before I leave. Which was a fantastic plan until I got food poisoning and then was just that, I just didn't have it in me to do that part. I only barely recovered enough to get onto a flight and fly to my gig, That was really bad. So sorry for no juggling podcast in September, but we're going to get one, we're going to do the topic that I had in September today.
Okay.
which people already know about because it's in the title of the podcast, I guess.
But I don't know about it.
Yeah, so anyway, on this juggling gig, I decided to work on some different video projects. One of these is 3-Ball Basics 2004 Remastered, in the same way that I put out the, in the club juggling video from 2004. I decided to put out this 3-ball video that, again, I'd had actually posted a version of it in like 2007 to my YouTube channel or something like that, like really, really old.
Yeah.
And even that was a video that I'd edited like 3 years previous. So it was an old video. But it turns out these days I can actually do what I had in my head back then.
Technology-wise, it's caught up to what you're planning on doing.
So the juggling is what my 3-ball juggling was like in 2004, which again, you can see quite a bit of that in my 441.
Really bendy.
Well, yeah, I was really flexible back then. I was and had muscles in my arms. Well, not muscles. You could see the muscles. Probably I've got bigger muscles now, but you could see the muscles back then better. Anyway, but just from the video editing, it took me like an afternoon of work to do the video, which the software just wasn't available, or maybe it was available, but the vision that I had, because I worked at a television station, like a TV company, around about that same time.
Yeah.
And I was using editing stations which cost £100,000 for the offline video editing software that was there.
Yeah.
Can't remember, Mavic or something. No, not Mavic. Anyway, whatever it was, whatever the station was, I was using back then.
Yeah.
And then at home, I got my own, the editing software I had at home. And I was like, I'm trying really hard to do this. But the computers and editing software, like, I just didn't have thousands and thousands of pounds to spend on the video editing software to be able to do what it is now.
Of course.
And now it's just kind of just built into, well, it's not. It's now a €200 editing software is what you need, the Final Cut Pro. And I could do what I wanted.
Yeah.
So.
And you still had all of the footage.
Yeah, all the original footage.
All the original footage. And basically all like, also you put them in folders already. Like you had them in sections and organized. Everything was ready to go.
Yeah, it's just labeled there. Look, I'll show you here. I mean, I was showing Juliana here. So if I go here, what is it? Movies. And I just, again, this was like massive amounts of footage back in the day.
Yeah.
But it's just here. So this is 3-ball Basics, if you see what I mean. And these are just all the clips. And when I was doing the file management, I just ordered the clip because all of these videos that I was doing for this DVD project in 2004, I knew exactly shot by shot what I wanted to do.
Good.
So as I was filming it, I was like, okay, this is shot, this shot, this shot, and I could easily just put it together. So all of these are just listed here, then just numbered.
Yeah.
So here as well, this is from December 2012, if you see what I mean.
And did those files come from you like digitizing the we had some cassettes that you digitized?
Yeah, it's cassettes, but it was digital. It was digital cassette, so it's fully the same quality from the camera, which is terrible quality. But yeah, I still have all of these footage, for the rushes as I call them here,
cool.
which is the what I was doing, which you would get, and then I would watch back through them, and then the next time I would go out filming, I could like do the get other versions of it or whatever like that. So
cool.
Yeah, I've got like 2 more lots of videos which are good enough to share from there as well. So I will maybe I started editing, but I need to find some different music. Oh, also the music mix that I did of this piece of music, which was I made for a university project in like 2001. The music that I used for this 3-ball Basics. Yeah, I was always really unhappy with the audio mix, but I don't have the original tracks of that. Like here's the drums, here's the bass, here's whatever like that. And I was like, do I need to?
Did you recreate it?
No, what I did is that now Logic Pro, which is the software, like the music software, I actually use it to record podcasts, but it's professional music software. Now AI can just take it and just separate out all the tracks. It's sort of like, here's the drums, here's the bass, here's the keyboards, and here's whatever. It can just extract all of that, and then I could level it out, compress each track, recombine it, and I'm like, oh, this was the mix that I wanted in 2000 and year 2000 when I made this music for a university assignment, and now I can do not remixes, but I can like do like remastering, in the same,
of course,
but not going back to the original tracks in that case. Anyway, all of that to say, worked on that project. What else did I release on Patreon for all the patrons? Here's a September podcast. I said there will be no because I got food poisoning. Oh yeah, the 5 Club Endurance and opening as well. That was, I've forgotten I'd even done that. Take Me to Zanzibar Live. Yeah, so I also have been refreshing. I've not been refreshing my website, but I wanted to put new videos on my website of of my live shows. So
Yep.
that's why I put, because a few of these videos are like, oh yeah, this is me performing in 2011. And I was like, oh, that's good enough. It's like, the video quality.
Outdated. Yeah.
It's very noticeable. The video quality is not. So that's why I put the ring, got a ring juggling video. I was actually just wanting some footage of me juggling the cathedral rings for that cathedral ring video.
Right. Yes, of course.
But because I can just do that show without dropping, I was like, all right, I'll just
That's good
release
to put
it
on the website.
And also from that same video or that same show, I didn't drop during the 3-ball and video routine, so I've now released that. I released that yesterday. And I've decided that with the Take Me to Zanzibar, which is my international juggler thing, I've decided to have on my computer at all times all of the clips that I need for that. So for every single show, I can include places that we've just been to on that cruise.
Yes.
So
think
the
that's
show,
very good.
so that video will always start with the last port that we've been to with me juggling in the last port. So you can see that there as well. I released ring juggling Zanzibar 3-ball and video from this year.
And also with the Zanzibar video, when I meet new people and then I tell you what you do, and then I often send them a video, and I really love the Take Me to Zanzibar video.
Yeah.
But it was so old and so grainy, and I said, look, I know that you are updating the video constantly for your show, so I know that you have better quality videos by now for this Take Me to Zanzibar video. And then I asked you if you could just put out a new version of it.
Because I realized the version of Zanzibar that I had on YouTube is from 2011 or 12, which was super early on. So I only had 3 years worth of videos of places to do. So the idea is that all of the bits and pieces in my show, I'm wanting to this winter refresh them, go back to the basics of all of my juggling shows. Okay, 3-ball and video. What is there, what are the small improvements? What are the minor benefits? What are the quality of life improvements that I can do with all of this? Because I got these new rings at the EJC. So beforehand for the Brun finish, I was using the Play Saturn rings, which are these big floppy ones. But I got these large Babash rings. Are they the Babash rings? I can't remember. Whatever, the large size one.
We literally bought it.
And I got them and I was like, oh, suddenly this trick, I can work on it more and it's more enjoyable. And then I got a new spinning ball. I'm always looking for this. And I was like, well, let's just do that as well. So now in my ring routine, I'm actually using these 3 large rings for the ring routine that I'm doing now.
Right.
So I start off with 3 big rings, which change color from white to red. And then when I do the 4, I can switch over to 4 smaller rings, normal size rings, and they're different colors. And there's a reason why I'm putting down the red and white rings and picking up another set. And then I finish off with that. So yes, I'm kind of playing around with that. I'm thinking the shirt that I now wear on stage is kind of dark blue. That what color of juggling balls do I use for the 3-ball and video?
White and blue?
No, they're just blue.
Oh, blue.
So I'm juggling kind of dark blue balls in front of a dark blue shirt. And I'm like, because I've been refreshing my costume or what I'm wearing on stage, I'm not doing it in a black suit anymore. I'm like, I need some higher contrast. So maybe those need to be, the balls here, these the what is it? The saggy balls that I use. The ugly balls, yeah. So maybe I need the orange balls at that point. But then, so what does that mean? Do I need to put orange word? The words on screen need to be red rather than blue? Right. Maybe I'm thinking I will do it with each ball color coordinated. So the words are always referencing
of the color of the ball.
So I'm just going through it step by step. What is it that I need to do to make my show, for each moment in my show to be, 1%, 2% marginal gains better? And overall, I'll be happier with my show because I'm always trying to improve stuff.
Yeah. And also, I think it's a way of your show is basically set in a certain you have 2 shows, of course, but there's a certain format and the certain things that you always do, and especially the 3 balls you've been doing from the beginning. So this is a way for you to also make it interesting for yourself, so you don't get bored and I just do okay, now comes this, now comes this, and I'm just like yawn, for yourself. And that in turn makes it then more exciting for the audience because the audience can feel that. The new you things. You are excited about this.
I'm excited about stuff. So anyway, that's what I've been doing on my latest gig is thinking about ways I can refresh my show.
Right.
Which is at every point, am I using the correct prop? what could be better about this? It could be a color thing. It could be a music thing. It could be just like a running order thing. And I'm always finding new things to do in my show.
And also, I'm really happy that you reintroduced Take Me to Zanzibar in your second show. No, in the second show. Right? Because you left it out for a while.
Yeah, I cut out the ping pong routine, which is fine. But then I needed to put that back in because I was on the ship that was on crossing the Atlantic, and the ship was moving a lot. So I was like, well, I'm not going to do my roller bowler routine at the end of that.
Better not.
Yeah, because at the end, and so I was like, well, that means I'll have to put the ping pong in. So that meant I finished my show with the Gatto balance trick, which I did a whole video about earlier this year about how happy I am with that. Yeah. And I'd never finished the show with that. Normally I do that middle of the show and then I do something else afterwards. When I did it at the BJC, I did the magnet juggling afterwards. Yes. And otherwise I've done that. I've like finished with like the hardest trick I can do. Yeah. And then done knife juggling on a roller bowler, which is a fun comedy end to the routine. So yeah, it was interesting to finish the show. Early show, great response for the audience. Finished on the Gatto trick, went really well. Yeah. Said my line afterwards, said thank you, that's all I have for you this evening. Standing ovation, really great.
And you basically finish on a finale trick.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It is. I'm finishing with the 3 finales now, which is Francis Brunn's combination trick, Sergei into 5-flip back crosses. This is how I sell it in the show. Yeah. And then Anthony Gatto balance and 5-ring balance trick. In the second show, it went well, but I kind of messed up. I messed up the Gatto trick, but the big ring that lands on the ball at the end was kind of slightly off, so it span, and I was like, oh, I hope that doesn't fall down. So when I lifted it off my head and brought it down, I kind of did something which I never did, which is kind of like throw it, so like jiggle it, so the ring would come off, so I could catch it on the way down. Don't know why I tried that. It was just dumb. Like, what am I even doing?
Didn't work.
Why didn't it? Didn't work. Yeah. I then dropped. I caught the ring, dropped the ball, and then we just had to like put it down on stage, and then turn around and was like, oh, that's all I've got. Thank you, very good. Like, no standing ovation for the second. Again, it's not. I mean, this first show was better and things, but it is tricky now because I've always done like some audience interaction comedy piece in both shows. Yeah. You know, in the first one it's the 5-ball, but I actually quite like this of actually finishing with the Gatto trick as a finale trick because it is proper. It's really strong trick. As long as I actually get the trick. Yes, if I don't get the trick, it's not very strong. Yeah. But no, I'm really enjoying finding new things to do in my show. For someone, I've been like performing some parts of the show for like over 20 years now. Yeah. Like that, like the Diablo routine. Yes. I made that in early 2005, so that's coming up for being 20 years old and stuff. And so, yeah, I might want to look at, I mean, not new Diablos, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm always trying to think of things like that. And I sent you that video of me managing to get 3 laughs out of not taking a knife out of the case. And it's one of those things that I
playing around with a towel.
Yeah, well, it's not even playing around. It's just a joke that I do. I walk up to, like, I've juggled 3 clubs, and then I pick up 4, and people are like, oh, right, this is going to be, you know, numbers juggling. Yeah. And then when I walk back to the case, I've trained the audience to know that when I reach in, I'm going to get out another, because I've already explained what numbers juggling is at that point. So I walk back over and I reach in, and people are expecting me to pull out a knife. Yeah. But I don't. I reach in and I pull out a towel, and I just wipe my face with a towel and then put the towel back in the box. Gets a laugh. And then I reach in again, and instead of picking out the knife, I pick out the towel again and wipe my face a second time with the towel and then throw it back in, and then I pick it up. So it's and then it gets a laugh when I actually do bring out the knife. So it's just a little tension builder, and I love these moments on stage because I'm like, I consider myself a very funny person on stage. Yeah. But I don't tell jokes on stage. Like, I'm not a comedian in that way. No. Like, every single thing that I do on stage, the laughs that I want them to come from what I'm doing. Yeah. Much like 90% of the time. What I say 10% of the time is fine, but it has to be what I'm doing. And I love that. I've always talked about this way of when I'm talking about other jugglers and other things, that you create a language of what you're doing on stage, with expectations and paying off those expectations. Yeah,
and sometimes you do just straight away do what people expect.
Yeah. So,
and then other times you can play around with it.
Yeah. And so I think that what I need to do is that, like, when I did the ring routine, I did it on a moving ship with the big rings at the start, which was really good fun. And I got to the end and I told the tech crew, I said, I'm not going to drop the 7 rings on purpose because the ship's moving too much, that I don't want to like, because if I don't get it the second time, then it gets a third time because the ship's moving a lot. I'm like, I'm not gonna mess around. I'm just gonna do the 7 rings.
Yeah.
Instead of dropping the 7 rings on purpose to build the tension. But it turns out if you don't drop through the whole routine up until that point, and then you nail, like, so I've nailed everything, although it was a bit messy because the ship was moving a bit, so
but people know that.
It wasn't the cleanest routine, but no drops, no big mistakes, all the way through. Did the 7 rings without messing about, without dropping on purpose. And you know what? It got the best reaction I think I've ever got for that ring routine on a cruise ship.
People know how much you are fighting gravity, literally.
But what I'm saying is, instead of undermining the tension of what's happened so far to then build it back up to get a big response for the 7 rings, but it becomes a comedy moment at the end of a routine, which I say there isn't comedy. I fulfill the expectations of being a virtuoso juggler in the same way that, like, when I perform that routine, say at a juggling convention, like when I performed that, I remember at the Russian juggling convention, you know, I'm in St. Petersburg, there's loads of other jugglers there, like, who are better than me, but I do the 3-ball and video routine at the start of the show, and at the end of the show I'm doing my ring routine as as the last act at the show, and I do that, no drops all the way through to the end, and then I, you know, drop on purpose and do the 7 rings. There it's actually kind of, it's a fun moment.
Yes.
But I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, doing the thing where I speak with the ring in my mouth. I do that. I can do that with the 4 rings anyway, because I used to do that on the Prinsendamm when the stage the ceiling was too low to put the ring in my mouth and go and talk with the ring in my mouth for a long time. Yeah. I didn't do 7 rings because the stage was so low. So I do that with the 4 knives. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's where it should go. So now I'm
4 knives.
Yeah. So I'm going to do the speaking with the prop in my mouth, explaining a trick while holding a prop in my mouth gag.
Yeah.
Again, I say it's not about what I say, it's about what I do. But what I'm doing is not being able to speak.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it from now on. I think that's just the better way.
Yeah.
So if I drop on the 7 rings by accident, I've got the music set up that I can do it a second time. Yeah. But I'm just going to attempt to just do it on the first attempt.
Yeah.
For that to be
like the clean routine.
Yeah, for that to be like the 3 balls and like the Diabolo routine, meant to be a virtuoso. I say virtuoso. What I'm trying to say is, like, fully in control, not messing around, high level skills, and people are only saying, "Wow, that's good," rather than
in the same way
he's funny.
That you have the club routine in the second show where you do that. Like there needs to be one bit, preferably in the middle, where you just show off your serious skills.
And I think that in the first show, that can be Diabolo and rings. The 3-ball is different because that's not saying, hey, I'm good, that's saying, hey, I'm clever. Yeah. But that's why I didn't like the ping pong routine in the end, because the tennis ball and can routine is much more fun. That's that's silly tricks with fun. And then the ping pong kind of falls in between the two. And I realized that's what I've been doing in my ring routine. It's kind of this, it starts off with, look at me, I'm good, and ends with, I'm funny. Oh, I'm good as well. And there's just, again, it's just that clarity that I need. Anyway,
nice.
I just wanted to talk through some of those things if people care about it. But these are the kind of conversations that I'd like to have with other jugglers about their acts and their show. Yeah. You know what I mean? To improve, to always find the thing that you can improve on.
Yes.
And I keep finding more things that I can improve on with these routines that I've been doing for 15 years / 20 years / or sometimes 2 years, like the other routines.
It always also just shows how self-reflective you are about this. Like, you're not just wanting to do a job, you don't just want to do it good enough. Yeah. You actually want to give people a great experience, and then take that as their baseline of what to expect from other forms of entertainment from then on. Yeah, it's cool. Is that actually the topic of the podcast?
No, the topic. This was me just telling Patreon people what I've been getting up to.
Nice.
Oh, and also
like
in the future,
update.
What I'm currently working on, and the other reason I wanted to release a video of me doing my 3-ball and video routine, how I've been doing it this year, is that earlier this year I released a video which is 20 years of club juggling videos.
Yep.
And I was
which people really enjoyed.
Yeah, really good feedback from that. People really enjoyed it. So I was like, I want to do one about ball juggling.
Yeah.
But it worked. I couldn't find even 5 ball juggling videos which were as good as the ones I was rejecting from that video, if you know what I mean.
Influential ball juggling.
And I was trying to work it out. So it turns out that the video is going to be about ball juggling acts.
Yes.
So acts, routines, shows which include ball juggling, and I want to highlight some of those videos that you can watch online.
Yeah.
So go and watch this act. See it live if possible, because some people are still performing some of these routines. But if you can't see it live, watch these acts, and you can, and it's going to tie together a bit of the history, like I did with the club juggling. This person was referencing this, and this person influenced this. So it's like following some lines of influence with the with some ball juggling acts.
That's fun.
Which is coming up in the future. So I just wanted a good version of my 3-ball and video routine act, which is sort of like
to include in that.
Because I was like, the last video that I shared of this was like back when I shared I did like a video essay about the history of the 3-ball and juggling routine.
Yes,
I think I did that in like 2018 or 2019. So it's been quite a long time since or maybe anyway, either way, it's been a few years since I've shared any versions of that. All right. So what I want to do is actually now thank all our Patreon supporters.
Oh,
or at least the ones who give us enough money to get thanked. So a big thank you to the people at the highest levels, which is Marshall and Sid and Matt Hall and Chris S and Danny and Flo and Hendrik and Joel. And then we drop down to the next level. Callie, Bethany. Okay. Not sure why this person's... Anyway, also big thank you to Kathy and Meryl and the Mysterious Mark and Jeremy and Yuli and Juliana. Juliana, you still support me on Patreon.
I do. And
Keith and Mark and Michael and Mike and Statist and Rafa. And then we drop down to lots of other people who support us at the $1, $1 Canadian dollar, €1 $1 New Zealand dollar, $1 whatever dollar.
So
thanks
much
to Zach and Pierre and Rajesh and Greg and Helga and Catherings and Amy and whoever that is, and lots of other ones, Nolan, I guess, and lots of other people who support us at that level. It's been fantastic support over the last few months.
Absolutely.
This is the time of year that all of this money now goes to the end of year finals. So I've sent out all the invites to the first 8 jugglers. I've got 8 responses.
How's the feedback? Like, good?
Yeah, it's good.
People coming?
I've got the lineup of the 8 people, a sneak preview for the people who are listening now on Patreon. The people who have been invited is Jasper and Killian and Marcus Utker from Berlin.
Yeah.
And me,
of course.
And then Brooke, John Pete. And then there's the wild card, which I'm not going to announce yet. So we've got a few. Did I miss someone out? Either way, there's Bas.
Krzysztof.
Oh, yeah, Krzysztof from Poland. And Bas can't make it because he's got university stuff. He's got like a university exam
training
on that weekend.
Stuff, yeah.
So he can't make it. And then once I've sorted that out at the end of this week, or this coming week, I'm going to send out the invites to for the women's field as well.
Nice.
Get probably 6 to 8 of those, depending on who wants to come. And then also anyone who turns up on the day, if they want to take part in the women's tournament, I think that's fine. But yes, I'll be sending out those invites at the beginning of November.
That's good.
And that'll be happening at the end of November, isn't it? It's like 28th or something.
The last weekend.
We'll do a live stream probably.
Okay.
Well, I always say this. Maybe on Instagram. Look, we've got a full day's worth of activities of combat and open juggling, so I'm going to invite as many people as wants to come along. All right, so let's get on to today's topic.
Oh, wow. How long is this podcast?
That's like 27 minutes, and then we'll do now we'll talk for like 20 minutes about a little topic. Again, it's been 3 months, and I wanted to catch people up.
I totally get that
with
this
what we've
is
been doing.
An update podcast.
An update podcast as well.
So what's the topic then?
Topic is Instagram / social media juggling challenges.
Oh, right.
I told you this was the topic last month. I told you to think about this.
Last month. And you think I remember that topic that you...
It's like 6 weeks ago I told you, hey, the next podcast is going to be about this.
Okay. Do we all know what you're talking about?
Well, let me explain. So what people do is like, I'm going to juggle every day for a month, or I'm going to juggle every day for 100 days or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they record a juggling clip every day, or at least share a juggling clip every day.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. I don't have strong opinions about this, but I just wanted to talk through some of these things here.
Right.
Because I want to explain what kind of social media challenges by other people that I enjoy the most.
Okay.
All right, let's go back to Trick-a-Day May. Do you remember Trick-a-Day May?
Yes, that's been a long-running thing, right?
Don't know where it came from, but someone just did Trick-a-Day May. I can't remember what it was.
And that's before the pandemic.
I don't remember exactly.
I think so.
But I think it came through a lot in 2020. I think all of this stuff is
oh, yeah, it got heightened, of course. Yeah.
There have been other things. So Trick-a-Day May is like people record one trick per day. And
over the course of the month of May.
Over the course of the month of May. It's, what's his name? The guy who, oh man, not Killian. What's his name? Wow. brain has farted. Club juggler from the United States. Lives in Canada now. Did the thing. Kellen Quinn.
Oh,
sorry. I just said Killian before, so my brain was
right.
instead of saying Kellen Quinn had like latched onto Killian.
I had no idea
who
you were talking about.
Kellen, so he did that a lot. You know, he's done quite a lot of these daily challenges and stuff like that. But I really like for those things. Trick a Day is fun, but what I like is the themed Trick a Day. And Kellen did one which was like mixed prop. I think. I think I did one which was mixed prop May, and he was like, "Oh, we're doing mixed prop," and he did it, and I didn't keep up mixed prop. I did like 3 days of mixed prop, because it's actually really hard to do this. I did it that one time with club juggling with squeeze catches and other random tricks.
Yes, you had like every day a different squeeze catch May.
Yeah, I think that was in 2021. I did that one, but just a fun. Fun club juggling video. And I actually made a fun club juggling video at the end of it. At the end, I'd done something every day, but also I edited it together into a fun 2-minute video of fun juggling.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So I realized when I started the next year, which I was like, Trick a Day May, mixed prop May, or whatever it was, I realized at the end of this, I'm not going to have a good video.
Yes.
And that was enough, you know what I mean? To kill my... It just killed my motivation. Yeah. And it turns out unless there's going to be something at the end of something, the documentation of doing it along the way, for me, feels, again, this is the reason why I'm not so into this, for me, feels inconsequential and not worth it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think doing something every day is too easy to do.
Yes, but now you need to tell people also the background of that.
Meaning what?
Because in the past, you have done literally yearly things where you have done for a full year of something, and then you've done that for a full year.
Yeah,
and
that is true.
So you don't like what often happens with these challenges is that people challenge themselves to keep up something that they set themselves for a certain amount of time, for a certain intensity. Yeah. And they do that most of the time. People do that for themselves to challenge themselves. Can I do this in this regular manner? Can I make a habit of it? And because you in the past have literally you have experience of doing something for a full year, where you didn't tell anybody about it particularly, but you did it for yourself. And
that's true.
You know that is something you can do. So you don't need to learn, or you don't need to train yourself at learning.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's not too easy. Maybe I've just already proved to myself.
Exactly.
I did a year of juggling. I did a year where I juggled every day for a whole year.
Yeah. But before social media, and before
it wasn't as much before social media. It was at a time when you could set personal projects for yourself and not share them on social media.
Yeah.
Now you set a personal project for yourself, and if maybe lots of people are setting personal projects for themselves where they do one thing a day for a whole year, and they do it and they don't tell anyone about it.
Yeah.
But for me, that was a project for me to see if I could juggle every day for a year.
Yeah. Also, it fit into your life at that point.
Well, it didn't in a way.
Okay.
Because at one point I was traveling and I got somewhere and I'm like, well, I got all the way here to like Brazil or whatever, and I'm joining a ship and sailing up the whatever tomorrow.
Amazon?
Yeah, up the Amazon tomorrow. Yeah. And I remember going in Brazil and I was like, well, I've only got it's like 20. I got to the hotel and it was like 20 to midnight or something. I was like, wow, I've just got to do it, really, I guess. And I think that I remember that was at the same time I got myself an Apple Watch, and I was like, and I've got to keep my steps goal or activity goal. So in the end of the day, I was trying to get my activity goal and do some juggling at the same time, just to do some juggling. But it did end up that some days all I did, the only juggling I did was juggle 5 balls in a location and get a video of it.
Well, that's okay.
So it wasn't.
But it fit the challenge.
It didn't feel like I was doing. It didn't feel like I was practicing juggling every day. Yeah. It felt like I had juggled every day for a whole year.
You ticked it off.
I ticked off the box. But what I'm trying to say is, if they feel like the only way that they can juggle every day for however long it's going to be, or learn a new trick every day in May. If the only reason they would do that isn't because they would just do it off their own back, the fact that they want to share it on social media then is a good thing even if nobody watches or if they don't get any feedback or any encouragement back from that, that's also fine.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that it's fine. It's that it worked. The plan
That's a
works.
motivation then.
That's it turns out to be a good motivation.
Yeah.
The social media stuff or the social media challenges, which I think are not it's not that. Well,
They're just not for you.
Well, it's not that it's not for me. The ones that I don't feel are beneficial for everyone involved is if someone's doing it to try and, I don't know, try and get onto the top 40 jugglers of the year. Like to try and do it to boost their social media presence or following or
does that
whatever.
work?
What?
Can that work?
I'm not saying
Has
it can
it
work or
worked?
not. No, well, again, I don't know because, again, a lot of these people might be doing something.
Yeah.
And I just think sharing interesting stuff when interesting stuff happens is what I like to see. However, let me get into some of these that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
The weekly challenge.
Yeah.
So Mark and Emma did the hoop challenge.
Yes.
The Branson roll challenge.
Yes, that was during the pandemic.
Yeah, it was like 2020, I think. What I really, really enjoyed about this 2020 challenge where they did something for a whole year is that the tricks were so hard that there was only the two of them who did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't an inclusive challenge.
No.
It was an exclusive challenge.
Yes.
It wasn't a challenge which was meant to be helping people get better.
Yeah.
It was helping two people get better.
Yes.
Because the only person who ever joined in was like Callum, and he could do all the tricks already because he's just way better at hoop rolling.
Yeah.
Whereas Mark and Emma were challenging themselves and each other to improve at a very specific kind of skill, which was like Bramson roll, shoulder roll kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like
all kinds of variations of it.
Rolling variations, hoop body rolling variations.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that, following along with the two of them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of,
it's a self-containing thing because then you get like, I don't know, 2 or 3 Insta stories about it every week or whatever.
So it's a fun internal story to two people. It's sort of like, I'm seeing their friendship and their challenging and their, whatever they're doing and they get good enough, which now means that now at the EJC, I was sitting next to Mark and Emma, and then they did for the first time hoop rolling endurance, like shoulder roll endurance as the games. And there was like 20 or 30 people went down to take part. And I was like, oh, I recognize these people. Like there's this trick. And neither Emma or Mark won. Callum won, of course.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But they did pretty well. But then I was talking to other people who I was sitting with, Jared, and I was like, oh, sorry, I follow you guys on Instagram, but I can't remember how it came up, but I'd muted their stories.
Yeah.
And I said to Jared, I'm saying, I like your juggling videos that you post, but like I don't understand the memes because all of his juggling memes are just whatever meme sphere that he exists in America.
And then he transfers it to juggling.
He just puts juggling over them, shares the memes. And I was like, oh, now my stories are just being flooded by like memes I don't understand, which just replace the word juggling or 5 club back crosses instead of whatever the meme is.
Right.
So I muted his stories and I just mentioned that. Don't take it personally. I mute loads of people's stories. Like I don't want it.
Yeah.
And Emma was like, have you muted my stories? And I was like, oh, and I looked and I did. And I was like, why have I muted Emma's stories? And then I realized why I had muted Emma's stories.
Yeah.
Is because the second year of their weekly challenge, they were like, all right, let's do it again. It was successful. People enjoyed it. Let's make it more inclusive. And they did balancing.
Yeah.
And so they're like, share some balance of you. And I shared, what is it like? Was it a pen on my nose that I did or something like that? And then lots of other people shared like quite simple balances. And then suddenly Emma's Instagram story, which beforehand I was following along her stories and her posts, which I was really enjoying because it was a personal challenge and a personal journey with her and Mark and other people now and then, suddenly became flooded with everybody else who wanted to demonstrate that they could balance something, but they could balance a hoop for 30 seconds or a minute.
Yes.
And then the next week it was another challenge.
Yeah.
And then it was just being like everybody else who had done that weekly challenge with Mark. And then Mark was sharing all of them and Emma was,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, right. What I enjoyed about this was the exclusive story that I was seeing and like the relationship developing between two people.
Yeah.
That they were challenging each other.
Yeah.
And then it became everyone can get involved. And I was like, oh, what I liked about this was that everybody wasn't involved.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because it becomes, it doesn't have a boundary then. And then literally your stories is like, 15 stories after one of the other with the same thing by people who I didn't know. Or like, it was great that they did it themselves, but then I got this into my stories as well, and you got it into your stories, and everybody got into other stories, and that can be overwhelming.
Yeah, it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally overwhelmed by short clips.
Yes.
But again, that's just my own social media usage,
Yeah.
Some people not doom scroll, they keep scrolling, they get down to you've seen all the posts so far in your feed, and lots of people scroll off the bottom of that. I don't. I allow myself to watch whatever the next video is, which is invariably dogs or
doing stupid stuff.
Like one cute dog, I'll watch that and be great, and then that's my cue to be like, no, don't go into the infinite scroll of this.
Right, yes.
Which is fine. So I'm just saying, like, that was, these challenges. And then it became, and I've mentioned this before on these podcasts, where it was then like other people started doing weekly challenges in the style of Emma and Mark doing their weekly challenge. Then you had like the weekly Mills Mess or Mess Variations challenge, the weekly whatever challenge. Oh no, it was the dots challenge, the close hand temote challenge, and there was and again,
like Mike Moore.
Yeah, Mike Moore did one, and which is fun. Yeah, and then who was doing the Mills Mess was, I can't remember, some people. I got involved in one of those mess challenges. I did the Luke's lobotomy last year. Do you remember? I videoed that and joined in. So again, I don't mind trying some of these out. It's fun and I enjoy following along. But I think what happened was that these things switched from, no, these are just two people doing something, challenging each other, or even one person. Well, no, because it was always like we take alternate weeks.
Yes,
and that was, I think, part of it. Every single one of these so far, since then, have been like either two people or a community kind of project, rather than just one person doing one thing. And the people who do just one thing each week, generally, I haven't seen them stick with it and keep it up.
I know one person
who did that. Who did the one thing per week for a year?
Borre.
Oh no, we'll get onto him. I'm just saying, like, other people, like John Udry did boxes, like weekly boxes. First of all, he didn't start in January, and he only did it for like 6 weeks. And a few other people did join in and learn the tricks along with him. Yeah. But I think if he'd have got, if you have two people taking alternate weeks, keeping each other honest,
and motivated,
and also, again, just to appeal to Luke, not to build a community, because like I'm not interested in a community of people learning Mills Mess. Again, it's great that people have done that. I'm just saying, for me, what I would love to do is do one of these weekly challenges, but I would need to find someone who is up for doing something, which is like every week you've got to put in like an hour or two of juggling just to be able to do it. Or like you've got to actually train something over the week and then be able to do it by the end.
Yeah.
Like the original Emma and Mark hoop rolling, I'd need to find what is the skill that I want to do.
Yes. And you have the level and the ability
also,
to somebody.
Is it just come up with a really funny 3-club trick, not a sequence, not a routine or anything like that. And I would find, maybe Jared would be up for, I mean, he's doing his own stuff or whatever.
I think also one aspect that generally when people set themselves these kind of challenges, what they kind of forget is that they have to be able to adjust for life, because life happens. And if you are super strict with yourself and say, I have to do it every day, every week, every whatever, this many times, and then something that happens in your life and that then stops you from doing it because you tell yourself, oh, I was ill or something happened and then I couldn't do it. And that's when you stop the challenge. Then your challenge wasn't strong enough to actually fit in your life.
Right.
So you have to kind of make a challenge fit in with the how life happens. And if you're then too strict with yourself, then that challenge wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
And what happened with the Emma and Mark challenge was that it was during the pandemic where life generally didn't happen, right? So you didn't go anywhere, you didn't see people, you were kind of confined within a certain space and a certain, lifestyle. And so that enabled like an extension of this kind of life. It added something to your life.
Right.
But if a challenge you are setting yourself a challenge in your busy lifestyle, you have to be okay with stuff happening.
Well, that's the thing. When like I was saying before about my year of juggling every day, I did it. Like I've even got, I probably could look up now the spreadsheet.
Yes,
I made a spreadsheet.
Of course, you have a spreadsheet.
Because that's how I do my life. Is I do my life with spreadsheets, and now actually a lot more Apple
To-do
Notes.
lists.
It's Apple Notes with tick my check boxes on Apple Notes is because it's just in my phone in my pocket, and I've always got it with me. But back in the day it was spreadsheets, sort of like, oh, can I get to 100 catches of 5 club back crosses? I've got spreadsheets to track my progress over the few months I was working on that.
Yep.
Never got there. But either way, actually, as a saying that, when I say I made a challenge to myself to get 100 catches of 5 club back crosses, I actually set that program. I've talked about this in my podcast and videos as well, where I actually set myself that challenge. But it was never about getting the 100 catches. It was becoming a good club juggler. Like it was more like that was like a
meta.
Yeah, it was like a meta goal. Sort of like in all of these things, what is the goal? Is the goal to be happy? Then it's to do whatever you want. Is it to have a video at the end like I was doing? Is it to
like have an end result?
Is it to improve a skill? Because then if it's just about improving a skill, you don't need to do something every day. You just need to be getting better over time. Like the trend line should be going up. So if you set yourself a task, something to do every single day, you will fail at some point. So excuse me. So you've got to be sure that you're happy with failure.
Yes.
And so let's talk about some of these other challenges that I like. I saw some people at the moment. I think Emma's actually doing this 100 days of juggling. Again, and we're talking about Emma Hornell from Sweden. In case I keep seeing Emma and Mark Williams, Emma Hornell,
Mark from New Zealand,
Callum Baker, Jared, whatever his name is, Juggle Johns, is who I'm talking about. These are some of the names. I actually saw someone say other people are doing 100-day challenges. I'm too flighty or whatever. I don't know if it was whatever the words were. I can't commit to that. I'll do 30 days of juggling. So can't remember who it was. It's just someone I follow on Instagram.
Helena Berry.
Oh, it could have been her. She was like, I'll do 30 days.
30 days, and I thought that was great that she did that. Like she said, okay, 100 days probably too much for me to achieve that. But 30 days.
I will
like
now search.
a month.
I don't want to be. Is it Helena? So I don't want to shame her anyway. What is her last post? Her last post was from. Why is that? Oh,
that's them doing it together.
Yeah, I realized
literally they visited
Berlin. So day 33 turns out I'm scared of commitment, but I love a challenge. Going to take a little break from posting every day, but more to come soon. So she did get to the 30 days.
Well
in fact,
done.
she got to 33 days.
Awesome.
And then was like, going to take a little break from posting. So
because that comes on top. It's not just the doing, it's the filming, it's the uploading,
it's
and
a lot of work.
Like the whole thing around it that you need to know. And I think if you have a shorter thing, you will then experience the whole extra work stuff that comes around it. And then once you started there and you can commit yourself to something more permanent, then you know what you're getting yourself into. That is all part of it.
So let's talk about Bora. Bora Isaac Lorange. His Instagram account where he's juggling balls and rings and triangles because that's what he does. 2,056 followers. Let's say 2,000 followers. Then he's got this other thing, which is just doing some club juggling every day, sponsored by Henry's. And that's got 1,200. So his secondary account, which he set up just to get better at club juggling. Which he said himself.
3 clubs. It's always 3 clubs.
It's always 3 clubs. And just look at this. Look at this. Every single video, he goes and finds a different place with a different background, thinks of different sequences, different kinds of tricks. And it just looks so good, so much fun.
Just this account, now scrolling down the profile, is a kind of a work of art in its own right.
That's exactly what I said. Bora, by doing 100, and this is I think the 4th time he's done 3 club juggling for 100 days in a row over the summer. It's the 5th time.
So
he's up to 74 days. So really, he's up to 474 days worth of club juggling, of filming in a different location every day with a different trick every day.
That is commitment.
But I honestly think this is what elevates this kind of project to art.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That it isn't just sort of like, oh, I'll do a trick and I'll film something in the way that I was like, oh, I'll juggle every day for a year.
Yeah.
Didn't actually count, because some of those days, like I was just juggling for the sake of ticking off the ticking
I'm sure
the box.
he does that too. Like there will be days where it's
it might be tricky, but he'll have something in the back. But here's the thing: the end product of this is the thing.
Yeah.
Like it is the challenge.
Yeah.
And that's why he has, he has 2 Instagram accounts.
Yes.
And the one that I follow more closely for 100 days of the year is the club juggling challenge.
Yeah.
And I would love that if everybody who does one of these challenges puts as much work and effort into it as Bora does into his 100 days of club juggling challenge. But I know that's completely unrealistic.
Absolutely.
Because Bora doing this is the thing that makes it special, because he's the only one putting in full effort for an entire summer for 5 years in a row now.
Yes.
And I think that's why I think that this is kind of like is like the pinnacle of this kind of stuff.
I also don't want everybody to do that.
No, and that's the thing. It makes sense that one person, and also because it's 100 days, but it isn't continuously. It's not like, oh, I'll do this.
It's not 365
Yeah, it's not
days.
for a whole year.
Yeah.
So, which is fine if you want to do that, but it allows him to build up steam over the winter to do like Boulder, whatever like that. And I totally find this, which is the top 40 jugglers of the year. So here's the thing. I've done this for every year, and every year I finish it, I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm going to have energy next year to do this. And every year coming up to it, I'm like, I'm not inspired. I don't do it. But just the fact of me putting out a video and people start voting, it suddenly gets the juices flowing. And then I'm like, I know I want to know what to do. I'm going to do something with music. I'm going to do something with editing, and I'm going to do something with vertical video and also sideways video. And I'm going to do, what happens in that way. It kind of recharges the batteries to do that, and also at the same time, it's the winter, it's off season, so I'm going and doing different styles of training, and I'm not going out so much because it's too cold to go out on my bike or whatever it's going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it fits into my life in a way.
Oh, I didn't even see it. This is like your decades long challenge every year. Like you do it like for now over 20 years.
Yeah, if you take breaks, you can keep up a challenge for as long as you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's not relying on it happening every day.
Yes.
It's anybody can do something.
It's confined. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There is of course, with the top 40s, there's a certain time in the year that this happens, so it's kind of plannable, ahead of time.
Well, last year I did some work over Christmas and New Year, so I was
it was a bit delayed.
January.
But that means that you are okay with giving yourself some leeway of saying, okay, it doesn't have to be a project that finishes on the 31st of December, for example.
Which if I don't have a gig over Christmas, New Year's, I will. I'd like to finish it at the end of the year.
However, you give yourself the flexibility to say, I don't feel like I failed it, and then not do it because it gets pushed around a bit. And I think this is the kind of like things that before you start a challenge or before you set yourself a challenge, you have to think about these other scenarios and how you are going to behave around them. And so I never really saw the top 40s as like a yearly challenge that you...
Well, it isn't. I'm just saying that. I understand that at the end of a challenge where you've done something for 100 days, you're like, well, I'm never doing that again. Yeah. And then the next year, you're like, I could really do with juggling every day.
You caught the bug.
Going through some of these other ones, I mentioned a few people. Someone's 30 days, other people 100 days.
Yes.
Other people 52 weeks, which means I only have to think about this once per day, but it is for a whole year.
It is.
Some other time periods, 80 days of 8 balls. Okay. So this is it Luther who's doing this? I've got a link here, but my mouse is broken if I click that. So this is Luther Bangert, and he is doing 80, this is, and I think this is the thing, like a lot of people think that they have to be creative on this way, but here's a way of doing a challenge where you don't have to come up with anything, you're not being creative, you're just working on a program.
Yeah.
And his program is every day, although he also takes breaks, but every day he will train 8 balls.
Okay.
And he will share his 8th attempt. So it's
I
8
see.
balls
Okay.
for 80 days,
Yes.
but he only shares his 8th attempt.
Okay.
So he doesn't share his best attempt for the day. He doesn't share his first or his second. He shares the 8th time.
It can be he can be dropping after one after throwing up 3 balls. He could be dropping on this 8th attempt, and then he would share it. Yeah.
So what's he up to? This is 12 weeks ago. Actually, it's difficult to go. I mean, I'm just clicking my mouse quite a lot here to get through this. So he started it 7 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. So he's kept it up, but again, he decided I can't do this every day because life gets in the way.
Yeah.
So what's that? He's day 64. 65, 66 days, 8 for 8 days, an 80-day chronicle wherein I practice 8 balls and share my 8th attempt every day.
Yeah, and then you dropped.
So the point is that if you're wanting to do this kind of stuff, find something that you can do which isn't creative in a way. Yeah. Like, it doesn't take brain energy every day to come up with, what's the trick I'm going to do this month? What's the trick I'm going to do this today? Mm-hmm. And I realized that when I did that trick a day May for the second time, I got like 3 days in and was like, oh no, I just don't like... I don't care. I can't care enough about this for make this into
the creativity that you have, the mindset that you have to get yourself into every day.
I was just
sometimes that's
stuff.
Just not. That just doesn't happen.
But here's the thing, if I wanted to do more, say, of my magnet juggling machine, that would actually be a really interesting thing. And I kind of did work on that. Again, it wasn't every day, but I was like, I need to work out I just need to work out more vocabulary. Like, what are the tricks? What are the possibilities? Yeah. And this was back in the day. And also when I rebuilt the machine, I just did loads and like this pattern, and just came up with as many things as possible.
Yeah. And also again here, what that reminds me of is when we were still living in Merringdam and you had the big rotating room.
Yeah.
And what helped you be creative around it and about it and in it was having another person over.
Yeah. I mean, that's a different kind of thing.
It's not different because this is kind of like the abstraction of what happens with Emma and Mark. Yeah. Like working together with another person has a momentum built into that it is really difficult to just do by yourself.
Yeah, with a set, and that's always a thing. If you set a goal, goals are meaningless without a plan. Yeah. And the incentives. And the incentives is have someone else relying on you and you relying on someone else. So in other words, that cooperation and co-encouragement and have a schedule. Yeah. Not just set a time limit, but have a schedule as in like set yourself time to do it. Like prioritize this in your life. For that time. Yes. And also don't make it too long. And you were saying before about how long can these things go on. And I've mentioned this, we did a whole podcast, I think, about long-term projects. And this kind of comes into it a bit. Yeah. And that wasn't so much about daily challenges. It's just sort of like 18 months is the longest you can ever plan something is 18 months. Yeah. Because in 6 months' time, your life might change drastically. Yeah. But in 18 months' time, your life will change enough that what you think you can do now is either going to be trivial, like not trivially easy, but like it's too trivial to spend time on because something else is happening that's more important or whatever.
Absolutely.
So
that happened so many times in my life.
So I saw this thing. John Udry, I've mentioned him before. He's sort of like, I'm going to juggle every day for 1,000 days. And he's wanting to improve on his records on some of these longer tricks. So
he has a list of things that he's
he's got a list of things that you want to do,
yeah.
which is great for him. I've no offense to John, but I've got no confidence that he's going to stick with this because I've followed along with many other John Udry challenges.
And he knows about he knows this about himself.
Before he was like 34, like he wanted to like do the similar kind of thing. Like, by the time I, this year of this age, I'm going to do this and I'm going to improve these tricks. Monkey challenge, didn't get it. Loads of other things. He sets himself these challenges. Gets good at juggling, but also, what was it? He's going to run like 150 runs. He's got into running and he did wanted to run 100 no, it was like for a whole year he was going to do 150 runs in a year, which is crazy. I mean, it's just unrealistic, but he did go to Paris or wherever it was and do a marathon or half marathon or whatever. It can get to the point where, as I was saying, just go on the exercise bike instead of like trying to run with a pulled, like if you pull a muscle in your leg, don't then go, I'm going to run 50 times a year or 100 times a year, whatever it was. Anyway, so he set up 1,000 and then we were going to do this podcast last month. Yeah. Since then, discovered a new daily challenge, which I want to show. But I need to now look up
You haven't made any notes?
Yeah, well, it's on a screen capture. It's in the thing here. Yeah. So now let's look up juggling Matt. Juggling Matt Walmsley. And look at this. Look at this. He's really leaning into the thumbnails for his like this. So,
they're not in order.
Well, it goes back a bit, so I guess he started doing it here. Day 34, he's up to day 59. Yes. Do you know how long he's planning on going on day 59 here?
No idea. Right. I don't even know him.
No, but there's no reason. Let's click on
What's the goal?
Day 59, juggling every day until I'm in the Olympics.
Oh.
So he's on day 59, and he's going to keep juggling and sharing juggling every day until...
How many decades is he aiming to do that?
Day 58, juggling every day until I'm in the Olympics. So daily juggling. So...
Ooh.
Anyway, I found out about this because, I hadn't been keeping up. I don't know juggling.
Where's he from?
Where do you think he's from if he's juggling every day until he's in the Olympics?
The US?
I know, I'm just saying that. I've actually no idea. Let's click on his thing. No, actually, probably the UK. Where's that? Oh, New York, probably. Yeah, look, he was in Coney Island, New York. He was the IJ 2023 Juniors World Champion.
Sounds like he's from the US.
So probably from the US. So yeah, there he is. So Louis, who's my favorite juggling shit poster, he says, Louis Casson put, I legit thought about doing this as a meme a couple of months back, and seeing people doing it is pretty funny. Juggling every day until I'm in the Olympics, because, he's posted some memes about it.
But if somebody literally...
But then he says, just to make clear, he says, not shitting on it, it's just funny because he'll have to juggle every day until the end of time. So yes. The whole point of this is that Louis isn't shitposting in this pace. He's like, I'm not shitting on this. I was going to do a comedy thing, and I mentioned him back saying, we were going to talk about this on the juggling podcast, and I was going to say, what is the extreme version of this, of setting yourself a goal, which is like, I'm just going to do this every day. Because you get these people who do this, like, I'm going to take a photo of myself every day, and I'm like, until when? And it's sort of like, they've been doing it for 23 years now, taking a photo of themselves every day, and I'm like, this is just your life now.
Yeah,
if you're doing something every day and you just do it long enough, now that is your life. Like, I know people who have been blogging every day. They write in their blog every day. And
but it's like the lower the not then doing publicly is people who write a diary every day. Yeah, and that's been around for, I don't know, millennial.
What's it? Longest running daily blog. So this is something that. It's like the world's it's been running every day since November, all still archives since 1994. Most consecutive personal blogs and stuff like that. So people do this. So who's this? Charles Trippy has done it for 3,653 days, which is like 10 years in a row or whatever.
That becomes part of your personality.
Oh, no, this is video blog. So that's 10 years of daily vlogs or something. Yes. But the point is, if that then becomes part of your identity, you've got to do it. You've got to keep it up. Yep. There isn't a way of backing out of something if you've been doing it for 7 years daily. If you miss one day, that you're not that anymore.
And the I don't know. It's a weird.
I'm not saying anything about Matt Walmsley here. I'm just with it juggling every day until the Olympics.
The severity or the meaning that you are adding to this one thing that you decided to do when you were, 14 years old.
Yeah.
And then the implication it has on your life. And then, if you, at some point, you have it like for 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And then something happens and you then fail, the meaning of it all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
I would find it difficult to tie up my personal identity and brand into one thing. Oh, I just remembered. Richard Herring, he won the Taskmaster.
Yeah.
He's got one of these. He's like the third longest running blog in the world or something like that. Right. I just clicked on this thing and it was sort of like this guy, Josh's World, the second longest running personal blog on the... Again,
the second
he's got like... I'm not sure if that's daily, but it's sort of like it's fun to have these things, I was just...
Yeah.
But yes, if your identity is daily vlogs, if your identity is daily anything...
Yeah.
there's a guy, Song a Day guy, who writes a song and releases a song every day.
I couldn't.
I think he did it for 10 years.
Like I'm a fan of accountability and making yourself do stuff, but I also know, especially my life, is just never will have this kind of consistency.
Here you go. I've been writing a song a day for 16 years and 299 days. That's 5,779 songs. And so, yeah, he's it looks like he's doing Bitcoin-y kind of stuff here. So he sells. It looks like now he's selling NFTs of each song that he does, and people can, I guess, bid. You can bid on it here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's it. It looks like he then makes. He then monetizes and makes a life of that one thing that he decided to do 16 years, or almost 17 years ago. Like, what I'm saying is that other people don't do that. Like Richard Herring has written every day, but he's also a TV comedian, if you know what I mean. Again, see him on Taskmaster.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, some of these things I really enjoy following along with. Yeah. The ones I don't is fine. They don't interrupt me or whatever. I'm just saying, if I was to give any advice, which I'm not giving any advice, so what I'm trying to say is lessons that I can apply to myself is never sign myself up for something which I can't abandon at a moment's notice, and it doesn't affect my happiness or self-worth or my standing with other people.
Yeah.
Or my perceived standing with other people. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Of course, and the more public you make something, the more
pressure you're putting on yourself.
Not on yourself, but also on the happiness of other people. Like if you follow along something and then somebody fail, like if you are an empathetic person, you will be affected by that as well.
Yeah.
So there's the different style. There's the different, is the public ones, is the private ones.
Well, I can't talk about the private ones.
Yeah.
Because I can only talk about the public ones, because I can only talk about the other people who are doing it social media.
You can talk about your own private ones.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But we did this before. We tried to do daily vlogs from the EJC, and this year I'm like, I'll put out a video for every day.
Fits, when it works.
But also it's too difficult to keep up, actually doing all the editing.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Yeah. I put in, for those daily vlogs, when I was doing the daily vlogs, that was like 3 to 4 hours every day of my EJC, when I could be EJCing, making videos for other people to enjoy, which I don't mind doing. Again, I found it very fulfilling and really enjoyed it. But it gotta work with, in 2016, 2017, when vlogging was the big thing.
Yeah. That was riding the wave at that point.
When everybody wanted to be Casey Neistat. But no, these days, nobody wants to be Casey Neistat. They all want to be Instagram influencers, and they all want to get, clips shared around and things like that, and lots of likes and stuff, rather than views. Either way, again, I enjoyed it. Maybe next year I'd love to do one of these weekly challenges, but I want to find someone who's willing to do it with me, who's willing to be really challenged every week.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And even if they don't get the big trick, they have to share their best attempt at what they do to it. That.
It's fine. Like the guy who shows the 8th attempt, no matter what.
That?
The guy who shows the 8th attempt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's okay to share a failure. It doesn't have to be creative. Yeah. It's sort of just share with other people what you're doing. But I'd need to find a style of juggling that I want to get into, or something that I'm already good at that I want to improve at, or something like that. All right, that's it. That's the podcast. I've thanked the Patreon people.
Cool. Yeah.
Earlier. We did, we did 40 minutes on that topic.
I thought so.
So maybe we should have done slightly less updates.
Should have, but it's fine. It's a full
an hour and 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's good.
Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for supporting us on Patreon.
Yeah, thank you.
We will. I'll release this tomorrow, Monday or whenever.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm talking to Juliana. Right, that's it from us. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Goodbye.